Speed. This video was inspired by the recent performance of Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Holloway put on an amazing demonstration of stand-up MMA striking against a really good opponent. Max Holloway just seemed to be moving faster. But what does faster even mean? In this video, we will be talking about the components of speed in athletics, and we'll touch upon how we learn and develop speed. Conor McGregor said,
He's powerful and he's fast, but precision beats power and timing beats speed, and that's what you saw there.
Precision beats power, timing beats speed. What does that mean? Let's get into it. I'm going to be covering a lot of topics in this video. Everything from nerves, you can check out my other video, to muscles, to baseball, to chess, to learning. Hopefully, I can get you someplace fun. So, there are many things that contribute to speed, and depending on the sport, some are more important than others. Simply sprinting fast like Usain Bolt still requires reaction time to the starting gun, technique in pushing off the blocks and accelerating, and then certain gifts in reaching top speed. However, many sports are dependent on reacting to your opponents, and this is where things get really complicated. In baseball, you have to spot a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, guess its trajectory, and get your bat on it. But in combat sports like mixed martial arts, not only do you have to avoid your opponent's attacks, but also position yourself for your own attack, and then hit a moving target. Let's talk about actual numbers. It takes a 95-mile-an-hour fastball about 400 milliseconds to reach home plate. It takes 150 milliseconds from the start of a swing to hitting the ball. It takes less than 150 milliseconds for a punch. Similar comparison certainly for our purposes. The reaction time to blink in response to a light is 150 milliseconds. It takes most people about 200 milliseconds to push a mouse button in response to a light. Some studies have shown that it takes about 400 milliseconds to land a punch in response to a light. These differences really just come down to how long it takes for the signals to be transmitted and the muscles that have to be used. We're going to talk about this more in a second. A lot of different things make up these reaction times. Let's break it down further. A stimulus triggers sensors, receptors within your body. The stimulus can be light, sound, movement, pain. You get it. The signals from these receptors then travel via nerves to your central nervous system and up to your brain. The brain then processes the information for complex motions, such as a pitcher throwing a ball or someone throwing a punch. It takes 75 to 100 milliseconds just for our brains to process the image of it happening. The brain then decides what to do with the information and fires a signal back out to the body. And this is through different nerves, causing the muscles to contract. Then, the muscles have to actually move the skeleton. All of this takes time. And considering what is going on, it is pretty remarkable how fast it does happen. All right, so each of these components contribute to reaction time. What if some people had better receptors, whether higher quality or just more of them? That certainly could give them an advantage. For example, high-level baseball players, on average, have better visual acuity. They can see details at a distance better than the average person, and this helps them hit a little ball traveling at tremendous speed. Once the receptor signals travel to the brain, the message has to be processed. Some people are able to process information faster than others, and it is an advantage. And this can also be trained. We'll talk more about this in a bit. And then there's the visible action, what we see when we think of sports, the movement of muscles. Once muscles receive the signal to move, it takes time for those muscles to move your skeleton. And when it comes to people, our muscles are not all created equally. To generalize, there are two major types of muscles, fast twitch and slow twitch. And they do what they sound like. Fast twitch muscles can contract faster and more powerfully, but they get tired sooner. Slower twitch muscles contract slower, but can go for much longer. If you eat meat, you can tell the difference within an animal. Dark meat is slow twitch muscle, and white meat is fast twitch. Think about that next Thanksgiving. Everyone has a blend of the two types, but certainly some have more of one type than others. Imagine the sprinter versus the endurance runner. Having more fast twitch muscles allows you to move faster. Think Yoel Romero as an example of a guy with lots of fast twitch muscle. Some people talk about reaction times or speed in general as reflexes. A reflex in the true sense of the word is an involuntary movement in response to a stimulus. Another way to say this is that reflexes are automated responses that do not require thought. They do not need to go to your brain for processing. The classic reflex arc is from receptors to the spinal cord and then immediately back out to the muscles. An example that all of us may be familiar with is the patella reflex, when the doctor taps your knee and the knee extends. Reflexes are faster than voluntary control. They remove the brain part. The blink reflex, when someone touches our eyeball, takes about 100 milliseconds to complete as opposed to the 150 milliseconds for a voluntary response to light. Clearly, the reactions that athletes have to perform are much more complex than simple reflexes. So what else contributes to speed? These reactions that athletes display have to be trained, and this is way more complex than Pavlov training his dogs to associate a bell with receiving food. The brain and its motor cortex, along with the cerebellum, which helps coordinate complex movements such as throwing a punch, must be trained in each component of a punch. Pushing with the feet, turning the hips, snapping the arm out, which includes flexing the shoulder, extending the elbow, straightening the wrist, and closing the fist. All of these individual components have to be grouped or chunked together in our brains to create a smooth, precise, and fast motion that, and this is important, does not require much thought. Chunking is a theory of how our minds can consolidate, combine complex patterns in a smaller, meaningful chunk of information. These chunks can then be chunked further. It is much easier and faster for our brains to process information like this. And there is good evidence that some people are better than others at creating these chunks. Chunking works for recognizing patterns too. It has been shown that high-level chess players can memorize pieces on a board with just a glance because they have chunked thousands and thousands of piece variations and can easily process what is on the board in just a moment. So what happens when we do not have the chunks to process information? This is demonstrated when major league hitters have an extremely difficult time hitting pitches thrown underhand. All of the visual cues for processing an overhand pitch are not there, and they go from highly skilled athletes to looking pretty average and doing a task that is not drastically different from what they usually do. As we know, a punch is a lot more than just moving your hand, the time of which is literally a blink of an eye. Or faster, if you believe Muhammad Ali could throw a 1.5-foot jab in 40 milliseconds. There are visual cues that fighters recognize that a punch is coming. A turned foot, a shift of the head, a hand loading. Along with chunking, another form of learning takes place, one of being able to rapidly predict probabilities of something happening. As we gain expertise, we learn certain actions just go together, making our transitions between them faster. Learning the transition from armbar to omoplata to triangle becomes seamless and goes without thought. We become smooth and accurate with our complex movements. This is the precision of our techniques. As we gain more experience, we can then ignore information that is not important. This also frees our brains to do the things that matter faster. In other words, you learn what needs to be paid attention to and do not think about the rest. The combination of being able to recognize patterns and throw out information that is not necessary gives the athletes the ability to anticipate, to be able to predict what their opponent is going to do and react effectively. This is the timing of our techniques. By recognizing your opponent's patterns, hiding your own intentions, having smooth, precise reactions, and then timing your attack, you can look faster than your opponent. Easy enough, right? Some people learn faster, or see things sooner, or can react quicker. And don't get me wrong, having power and speed is only going to help. But clearly, they are not everything. On top of talent, it takes years of focused training to perform at the level of these athletes. And how exciting it is to see these athletes, like Holloway, perform at such an incredibly high level. I'm Dr. Lucius Pomerantz. Thanks for joining me.